Understanding which Luminar tool to use and when is our topic today on Luminar Coffee Break. Let's see what we can accomplish in 10 minutes or less, starting now. Hello everyone and welcome. So here we are in the month of August, and our topics are going to be based on a poll that we did on our Facebook group. Today's topic is going to talk about which Luminar tools to use and when, and I'm hoping it's going to clear up any confusion whatsoever on the way we have it organized. All right, so let me just dive right in. So here we are. Now, before I begin, the top area here, these three tabs, you have your catalog, your presets, and of course your editing. So in the catalog, think of this as your library. Let's start with this image here. Now you have a choice. You could just jump right into the editing section, or you could start with a preset. Now, if you click on presets, what's great about the presets is think about world-class photographers that you're sitting right beside them, and they're helping you with your editing. That's what these presets are going to do, because we created a lot of these presets to help you get a jump start on your editing, but we also created it in a way that you can learn from them. So let me just pick one of these right here from the side. That looks cool. I like that. You know what? I'm going to do this one right here. Now, I'm going to start, and here it is at 0%, and I could gradually just increase it, but I think, let's say half of it. That looks pretty good. Let's see before and after. Here's the original. That's what we did. Well, that's great, but it didn't teach us anything yet. That's where when we click on edit, now we have tools, which are going to be all the tools we'll talk about. Let me just shrink these down. And now you have this here. This edits, I wish and I hope we change it to history, because that's what it is. It's your history of the edits you created. Since somebody helped us with this preset, these are the tools they used. So if you love this look and you're like, wow, that looks really cool, how did they create it? Jump over to the history or the edits, and look, they started with develop. Then from here, converted the image to black and white. Notice, if I click on here for black and white, they didn't do anything spectacular. They just left it simple. This is where the mood is what changed this to the true black and white that you're seeing. So now you're learning that mood is going to give us some really cool effects. In fact, I'll do this for a moment. So if I were to come in here and just come across any of these like this, look how I'm changing the mood or the look of this. So moods are your LUTs. Then they added mystical, and let's see what mystical does. Look at this. It gives us that nice, soft, dreamy glow. I'll go to an extreme. Look at that dreamy glow. And then, of course, super contrast. What this is going to do is let you determine, from highlights, midtones, and shadows, how you can enhance this image. All right? So, adjustments. Let me go back to the original. So, now that you understand that presets are great as a great starting point, let's look at how we have these tools lined up. So, in the beginning, remember now, this we're dealing right now is not with a plugin. You're using it as a standalone. If you're using it as a plugin, then these generative tools right here are not going to appear. So under the catalog, you have all your generative tools from Gen Erase, Swap, Expand. That's not going to appear if it's a plugin. The only time that's going to appear is if you're using it as a standalone. So now that you have that set, under Edit, from here, we have tools that work on image quality, and that's Noiseless AI, and that's Super Sharpen. Then your essential tools is where most photographers are going to live. Look at that as your digital darkroom. So in this case here, if this were a raw image, it's a JPEG, this would say develop raw. Since it's a JPEG, it's just going to say develop. So don't get confused on that. Now, here's the key. Click on that information icon. That right there alone will teach you about the tools. It'll tell you exactly what the tool is designed to do, and it also gives you learn more. Another link to join the website, or our user manual on the website, it points you right in that direction. So if you get confused or you wonder, well, what is this tool doing? Click on the information icon, and then from there, click on learn more if you need to. All right. So for this image here, I just like starting with the auto adjustments just to get it. Now I'm going to preface this with this image was already edited. So I took some of these images off of one of our websites. It was already edited, but we're going to re-edit and just fine tune it. Look at that adjustment. Look what it did. It automatically improved the image. And let's see the enhance AI. This will take it another step. Look at that. In a short time, we're able to go from this to here. Look how it's bringing out more of it. Now we're going to continue with a little extra edits with it, but that's a great starting point. Now I do want to add a little vignette to it, just to brighten it up or darken the edges a little bit. And if I need to, add a little inner light, let's say right to this section here. Look at that. Look how I'm able to draw attention to it. Now, that was simply using develop, enhance AI, and vignette. So we stayed into the essential tools. Well, now you want to get a little creative. So go to the creative section. So in your mind, you're thinking, okay, I got the image looking the way I want. Now it's time to be creative. Jump into the creative section. From here, that mystical tool, watch this. I'll go to an extreme. Look how it's giving that dreamy light glow. And again, if I click on the information icon, it's going to tell me it's giving a dreamy look by softening the luminance scenery or the luminance values of the scene itself. All right. And of course, I can come in, and here's what's cool. A lot of people forget that there's extra features inside the tools. So in this case here, it's colorize. Well, do I want to desaturate some of the color? Do I want to bring it out? Do I want to make it warmer? Do I want to make it more golden tones? Here's a great way. If you don't like the exact look of the tool, don't forget you have other options. Now in this case here, look at this. I can bring out the shadows. I can bring the shadows in. Smoothness. I can control the amount of smoothness I apply. Every tool has masking. So I can come in here to the masking and just paint in that effect into selected areas. But for now, just get used. Mystical, right here under creative, is going to give you that beautiful, dreamy, like extended feature or finishing touch to it. Start out, develop the photo first, then get into your creativity, and there was an example there. Now, if, like in this area here, I think the road looks a little too, let's go beginning, before and after. Yeah, look at that. The road, in my opinion, just looks a little too blown out. I liked this version of the road better. So what you could do is a couple things. I could just go back, and I know that was under develop looks good. It was probably under enhance, which it was. Yeah, look at that. So the enhance and develop. Let's look. Yep, yeah. So develop is what made that area right there a little overblown out. So what I could do is either tweak this or come in, brush, erase. Now let's just get rid of that path. There we go. Now I got what I wanted. Look at that. And if it's still blown out like this, maybe I'll come into enhance and do the same thing. Mask, brush, erase. and get rid of that look in that area there. And there we have it. All right. So here, which tool to use in a case like this? Well, it's a dreamy-like photo. So let's jump into the creativity side after we develop the photo and then apply some of those techniques to it. Now, by the way, this vignette, I'm going to erase it because vignette should be used as your very last tool. So the orders of operation. With each of the tools, it builds upon the previous one. So for that vignette, I want the edges to be darker. I want the center of attention to be in the middle of that path. So I'm going to wait till the very end. And notice what I just did there. I just hit either come in here and hit the reset tool, or just come back in and hit the delete key, or I'm sorry, the trash can, just remove it. And now when I'm at the very top, this is where I can apply that vignette to it again. All right. So that's on that end. Now, let me grab another image. You know what? I'll grab this one here because I loved how this looked. Let me just make sure. Yeah. So I'm back at the original. And let me jump in here. Yep. So I'm at the original. All right. So I like it, but you know what it's missing? In my opinion, again, I just think it's missing some contrast. I could come in, like we said earlier, start with develop, use smart contrast here, and go from there. Or, I want to be a little bit different. That's how I normally would go. I'm going to come down to the professional tools. And I'm going to use super contrast. I want control over the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. So, here's the highlights. Notice what I'm doing. Look at this. Look how it's bringing out more of the skin tones the way I want it. And by the way, you don't have to use all the sliders. So midtones, that's going to benefit there. And then shadows. There we go. Oh, look at that. All right, let's look at the difference. Look, already you can see it. Here was the original. This was an edited photo. This is what we're going to convert it to. And again, if it's too much, just dial it back a bit and continue from there. Now, I do love those greens, by the way. So, again, let me just hide this here. Since I love the greens, I want them to pop a little bit more. Color. Well, come over to the tools. There's the essential tool, color. I could saturate the entire image, but watch what happens. I don't like what it. I love what it did to the greens, but not to the arms. So I'm just double click. Let's go to HSL. Hue, saturation, and luminance. HSL. Well, what do I want to do? Well, I want to go to the luminance value of that green. And look at this. I could change it. I want it to be a little bit darker. Ooh, look at that. Let's say the hue. Well, if I don't like that green, I could change the hue of that green, but for now, let's just leave it. Let's look at the saturation. Do I want it richer or darker, or do I want it brighter? In this case here, I just think the vibrancy of that just comes out a little bit better. All right? So now that I did all that, that looks great. Here we go. Before. Look how it looks dull and flat. And look how that's bringing it out. But I'm noticing I need more texture. So I can either go with Structure AI and let AI do most of the heavy lifting for me. And this is going to protect the skin tones. All right. But look what it's doing. Ooh, look at that. That's overboard. Let's go right about here. Yeah, look how it's adding just enough. Let's reset it. And let's look at details. So we have two tools. The newer version is Structure AI. Details is like traditional. If you're going to do batch processing, stick to any of the AI tools. So I'm going to use Structure AI. If I had 30 of these images, I'll use Structure AI so I could batch process that on all those images, because it's not going to look at hard values like details. Watch, if I do this, ready? I normally make this into like a little arrow. So small details, medium details, large. Look, it does a great job, right? That's what Structure AI is doing for me. But here's the difference. If I try to apply this to, let's say, again, 30 images of this particular shot of this shoot, but, different hand position and so on, it's going to give 11, 41, and 5 to the next image, even if it doesn't need it. So that's just in your mind. You're thinking, okay, if I'm only using one image, I want more control. I'll go to details. If I'm doing batch processing, then I'll jump over to Structure AI and then maybe follow up with the details, on individual photos. And by the way, while you're here, look at this, sharpening. I could add just a little bit of sharpening here, and here's the detail. I could protect the details, and I could just guide it in. Now, it doesn't look like it's doing a lot, because if I go to an extreme, you'll definitely see the difference. But again, if you're not quite sure what each of the tools are doing, just click on that information icon. It'll walk you through it. But the detail masking, it's protecting some of the details and it's applying the top adjustments to this. So when you want to make an image look sharper or more in focus, a couple options you have. Under the essentials, you do have structure, and you also have details. Now, here's image quality. Look at this, super sharpen AI. Well, I could let it try to figure it out for me. Make it universal. Give this image the sharpening tools or the sharpening amounts that it needs. Let AI help you. That's another way of doing it. So when you're wondering what the tools do and when to use them, you got to experiment. You got to figure out, okay, well, obviously in the name super sharpen, that's going to sharpen my images. But with AI next to it, it's giving you the hint that AI is going to help you walk through this. Now you have to decide when, like in this case here, notice super sharpen for this image. And because we're on Zoom and I'm recording, it is taking a little bit longer than it normally does. So if you want to do a quick one, stick to the more conventional ones. If you have time, look at this. Give it a moment to replenish. Boom. It's going to give you more of a universal sharpening. Now let's see the difference. So this is what we started with. And look at that. And again, this was an image somebody already edited. Look how I was able to bring it in. And now this is what I envision. This is what, when I saw this image, yep, this is what I saw in my mind. That's what I imagined. All right. Now let's jump over to, here's one of my beautiful godchildren, Erica. I need simple tool. I need to crop. Well, that's under your, up on top here, your layer properties. So these are your tools. Let me hide it down here. These are your tools you're working with. These are the common tools you'll be dealing with. Well, I need to crop this image. I can come in and let composition AI help me. And sure enough, look, it's figuring out that she should be in the rule in this third quadrant. I just want to strengthen it up a little bit. I'm not in love with that pole, especially with it being dirty like that. So why don't I just bring it in? There we go. And there we have it. Get rid of that. There we go. All right. And I have just a little more right there. There we have it. All right. So I have that set. Now I'm looking at this image. I love, 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 love the natural. And this is straight out of camera. I love the bokeh effect. I got to see, what did we shoot it with? I shot this with an 85, the Sigma Art Lens 1.4. is what the lens was, and I shot it at 1.4, so that's why it's giving me that beautiful bokeh in the background. Well, guess what? I didn't use a reflector. I didn't bounce light into her. So I'm looking at this thinking, okay, Erica has beautiful brown eyes. This image doesn't capture it. So what do I need to do to fix this? Well, let's go to the portrait tools. And by the way, before I do that, Essentials, Develop, and there it is, Develop Raw. Let it do the adjustment for me. Look at that. Already, yep, good, that helped out. But it is making her a little bit darker. So now I'm going to come into my portrait tools. Here I am with Face AI. Let's bounce a little light onto her face. This is an extreme. This is where I want to put it right about there. But again, I love Erica's eyes. This image here, because I shot it at 1.4, yeah, they look very soft. So let's adjust the eyes. Well, and I'm going to change her eye color to brown, because that's what she has. There we go. Pop a little flare into the eyes. Maybe enhance it just a little bit. But here's what's going to really help sell it. Ooh, look at this. I'm going to remove those dark circles. Then, of course, I can improve her eyebrows, or the mouth, maybe a little more saturation in the lips, and so on. But you know what? Again, shooting this at 1.4 meant that her godfather had to make sure that I nailed the focus directly on her eye, and I didn't. But I love the image. So look what I did to enhance it. So I fixed it by applying the brown to her eyes and going from there. Now, this is all looking good, but I do want to come in and her skin. I'm going to give it a generous amount. And you know what? Let's just look again. What ISO was it? The ISO, look at that. I shot it at 6,400th of a second. So the ISO was 280, which isn't too bad. But let's see if the digital noise. So if I can improve it with Noiseless AI, look, it's saying it's low. Let's give it a shot. And a lot of times, what the Noiseless AI is going to do for me is it's going to look for all that the grain into the image, come back in, and then it's going to go back and smooth it out. And sure enough, look what it did to the skin. I'm going to go to middle. Look how it also smoothed the skin slightly. All right? Great. So we have that all set. Look at the difference. Before, after. All right? And then, of course, we can finish it off with that vignette that we talked about. Pick Erica. Dial it in. Look how it's just tying everything in. Got it? Before, after, that's a little too much. I just want it slightly. There we go. Look at the difference. Look how it's drawing the focus onto her. All right, so portraits, yes, jump right on in over here to the portrait tools. Now, let's check this one out here. Okay. Now, for this image, what I did do was I did like one of the presets, and I'm liking this inkwell. I love this, but look at this. Watch the charcoal. Click on the charcoal. I love what it's doing, but you know what? I think it's just a little too much. So I'm going to dial it back a bit. Ooh, look at that. Ready? Before, after. I like what it's doing. Edit. Now let's come over here. And I'm noticing a couple things I don't need. I don't need structure, so I'm going to erase that. I don't need details. I'm going to erase that. The reason why I'm saying that is because I like the softness. I like how this is out of focus, and the focus is on his thumb getting ready, or his index finger getting ready to hit that shutter. And I just think that the black and white for this image, it just gives me that nostalgic look that I'm going for. All right? And let me go to another one. Ooh, this one right here. All right? Now, before we get into the full editing. Let's come over here to landscape. Well, here's where I can replace that sky, but it's an overcast day, so I have to be careful. If I come in here, and let's say we apply this sky to it, it's definitely going to look way out of place because, first of all, this was what, South Dakota? Yeah, that was South Dakota. I didn't see any of those skies there. I mean, I don't know. To me, that just looks too gimmicky and fake. Instead, I'd rather have more casual skies like this, but notice what's going to happen. Yeah, see, to me, that looks more natural, but it doesn't match what we're doing because, again, it was an overcast day. So what do I need to do with inside this tool? Well, I can come in here. I could try to relight the rest of the scene to kind of match, but you know what? That's not going to do it. Or I can go to the sky adjustment, defocus that sky, brightness, and now I'm going to really let it blow out a little bit more. And maybe, there we go. And now I'm going to tweak the warmth, because to me, that looks way out of place. This looks a little bit more believable. And then add a little more haze to it. That's if I wanted that sky. Me personally, for this image, that sky to me is not doing it. So what if we came in here and let's say, well, it's definitely not a sunset, but maybe if we take this and we come in and we take the strength of this, we defocus it a little bit, atmospheric good, the brightness of it. Yeah, let's go out. Yeah, nope, you know what? For me, relight set, there we go. Maybe something like this, but in a case like this, I'm not even going to bother with it. I'm going to leave it the way it is, but I do want to stay in this landscape area because from here, we can work on the landscape tool. Ooh, look at this. That's what I've been looking for. Look at that. Look what dehaze is doing for me. Because I already said earlier, yeah, it's an overcast day. And it looks a lot of haze. I'm going to dehaze it. Maybe adjust the golden hour. Ooh, look at that. And maybe a little full, yeah, that's too much. Actually, you know what? Let's try that. Let's dial it back a bit. Yeah, that green is way too much. You know what? It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't need that extra foliage enhancement. So I'm going to leave it. But look at this. This was the original image. All I used was that one tool, landscape. Let's check it out. Look what that did. Since this is a raw file, I could always to come back here, apply the auto adjust. Look what it did to the sky. Look what it did to the guys. I'm not liking it, so I'm going to leave it. So this is one of those images, in my opinion, that needs to be fixed. All right. So let's come back up here. There we go. Look at that. And I can decide how much the power right about there. Good. And I probably would, yeah, you know what? I actually would. I like it. I would like it zoomed in right about there, the cropping of it. And then, of course, I want to add a little structure, a little boost here. Now it's coming. Now, because their faces are way too small, I highly doubt Face AI is going to recognize it. Yep, see, it's not. Between the hats and it being too far away. So what do I need to do instead? Let's go to Enhance. And I'm going to focus. And that's still not doing it. So let's go to Develop, Shadows. Yeah, there we go. So the shadows is helping. So I'm going to come in here with the shadows right about there, but mask, paint. I'm just going to paint in the effect where I want it to be. Maybe a little bit on the horse here. Here, look at that. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. And then I may come in and dial it back just a little bit on different areas. So the point I'm getting at is there's so many different tools that we have that can increase the shadows. It could bring out the contrast. Your job is to look at this and, when in doubt, stick with the essential tools. Because again, this is your digital darkroom. Then from there, once you start developing it to that degree, then branch out and look at, do I want to add more creativity to it? Let's pull it down. Do I want to add more creativity? If so, click on creativity. And then from here, look at the different tools we have. I love that Mystical. In fact, for this, I think Mystical will do a pretty good job. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, Mystical is going to help out. If I want to get really creative, change the toning of the overall effect. Here, now I can deal with color. Yeah, I don't like that. But I could deal with it and go from there. So, point is, look at what each of the tools do and their strengths. Notice how we broke them down into categories. So don't get overwhelmed. And when in doubt, use those presets and just start clicking through them. So this way you could see, what do professional photographers that, do this for a living, how would they edit this with one of those presets? Click on them, and when you see something you like, then go over into the history or the edits, and then decide, what tools did that for me? Put that into the back of your mind. The next time you need to dive in, you'll have that as part of your information or part of your tool set. Now, the only way to get good at any of this stuff, just like your photography, is by practicing it, by going over it again and again. Set up a time where you can do this, or check out, especially on our Facebook group. In fact, let me pull that up for you right here. Here is our Facebook group. Post this stuff up on Facebook. Put it out to a challenge to others and say, hey, here's one of my images. I'm gonna include it. How would you edit it? But here's the deal. Please show me what you did. And that's a great way to work on collaboration. And then that's another way you could get your work shown. All right. So there we have it. Now, by the way, I did write an article. I'm celebrating the month of August, my 10 years association with Skylum, 7 years full-time. It took 3 years. 3 years of consulting with them for me to become full-time. It's a very, very competitive position. I wrote an article about my 10 years, but it's finding my Mirakai, and that's putting your passion, your heart, your soul into something. I chose Skylum, and I wrote down the ways on how you too can find your Mirakai in your photography, in your careers, or whatever it is. Please check that out. And again, we have more stuff like that on Facebook, so you're welcome to check it from there. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was very helpful for you. Now, if you're here, please stick around for the Ask Me Anything segment, where you could ask follow-up questions to what we're talking about here. For everyone else, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you at the next coffee break.